Be prepared. This week is not normal. September 11th marked the beginning of something powerful, and if you're not paying attention, you'll miss it. This isn't just another passing phase of the moon. It's a cosmic turning point, one that will test your focus, your emotions, and the choices you make. Think about it. September is often seen as a month of transitions, a bridge between seasons. But this week, that transition isn't soft. It's sharp. It's demanding. But here's the truth. If you move through this week on autopilot, blind to its significance, you risk losing the very lessons that could transform your path. The universe isn't asking for perfection. It's asking for awareness, because what you choose to do or not do over these next few days will echo long after the moon has moved on. And it begins with 8 powerful spiritual events, each carrying a message you can't afford to ignore. So before we go into this, first like this video, subscribe and type 777 in the comments. The first event is already in motion. Tonight, the moon began its dance across the sky, reaching into shadows we often try to hide. This is more than a shift in light. It is a mirror held up to your soul. Symbolically, the moon represents your hidden self, your emotions, your instincts, your unspoken truths. When it moves with such force, it brings those inner layers to the surface. You may feel waves of sensitivity, sudden mood swings, or the urge to withdraw. This isn't weakness. It's a cleansing tide washing away what no longer belongs. And why now? Because this week sets the stage for deep alignment. The moon is not punishing you, it's preparing you. The second spiritual event unfolds as the moon aligns with Neptune, the planet of dreams, illusions, and deep emotions. Think of Neptune as the ocean of the cosmos, vast, mysterious, and often unclear. When the moon touches it, your inner world feels stirred, as if currents of forgotten memories or hidden desires are rising to the surface. This is why you may notice old feelings returning or sudden waves of nostalgia washing over you at strange moments. Spiritually, this is not a punishment but a reminder. Neptune's influence asks you to question what is real and what is simply the story you've been telling yourself. Have you been convincing yourself that you're satisfied when deep down you crave more? Have you been holding on to relationships, habits, or dreams that no longer match who you are becoming? This event matters because it clears the fog. For once, the illusions fall away and all that remains is truth. The kind of truth that can set you free if you are willing to face it. The third spiritual event rises quickly after as the moon connects with Mars, the planet of action and drive. If Neptune had you questioning, Mars demands you act. Picture it like fire meeting water, the stillness of reflection suddenly boiling into urgency. This is why you may feel bursts of energy, frustration, or even anger. This week, Mars doesn't allow you to sit quietly with your realizations. It insists you do something about them. Maybe you've been holding back your voice in conversations or avoiding the one decision you know has been waiting. Mars pushes you to confront it head-on. It can feel uncomfortable, even exhausting, but this is the very energy that shifts a stagnant life into movement. Symbolically, Mars says, your doubts have been revealed. Now prove to yourself that you're ready to rise above them. And this matters because time will not pause for you. If you allow this window of energy to pass, you'll return to the same cycle again. But if you harness it, you break free. The fourth spiritual event carries a softer but equally powerful influence as the moon moves into harmony with Venus, the planet of love, beauty, and connection. After the deep reflection of Neptune and the fiery push of Mars, Venus enters like a gentle hand, reminding you why all of this struggle is worth it. You may notice relationships feeling more tender, or a sudden appreciation for the small beauties in your life, a sunset, a song, a quiet moment with someone who truly understands you. Spiritually, Venus with the moon is a call to realignment in your heart. It asks you, are you surrounding yourself with what uplifts you or with what drains you? The emotional weight of this week is not meant to isolate you, but to bring you closer to authentic connections. This is the point where you realize transformation is not only about letting go or pushing forward. It is also about choosing joy, love, and the spaces that nourish your soul. And why is this important now? Because without love, whether for yourself or others, the path of growth feels empty. Venus reminds you that alignment isn't only about duty. It is about beauty, harmony, and balance. The fifth event you will experience is unlike the subtle energies of the days before. It carries weight but also opportunity. On September 12th, the cosmic currents stir a meeting between the moon and Saturn. And it lands in your life like an uninvited teacher walking into the room. Saturn is not here to soothe you. It's here to check whether the foundations you've been building are strong enough to hold. Imagine it like a quiet inspection of your life, your choices, your commitments, your responsibilities. When Saturn speaks, it does not shout. Yet the message lingers. You may notice where you've been avoiding structure, where procrastination has been stealing time, or where a promise you made to yourself has been left unfulfilled. The guidance here is simple yet powerful. Order creates freedom. People often think discipline limits them, but in truth it opens doors. A painter cannot create a masterpiece without a canvas. A musician cannot move the world without learning the notes first. Saturn's alignment is asking you to create your own framework so that growth can happen without falling apart. It could mean organizing your daily routine, setting boundaries in a relationship, or committing to one important goal instead of chasing 10 at once. This event is not meant to restrict you. It is here to strengthen you. When the week ends, what will matter is not how much you did, but whether you did the right things with intention. The sixth spiritual event arrives quickly after on September 13th, when the moon crosses paths with Mercury. If Saturn demanded order, Mercury delivers clarity. Where Saturn asked for structure, Mercury asks for communication. This event feels like a turning point for conversations that have been waiting to happen. Perhaps you've been holding on to words you couldn't express, or perhaps others around you have been unclear in their intentions. Mercury, the messenger of the skies, does not tolerate confusion. It brings words to the surface, sometimes through unexpected conversations, emails, or encounters that leave you thinking for hours after. This is not the time to keep silent out of fear of judgment. Mercury aligned with the moon is a nudge to say what needs to be said. Even if your voice shakes, yet there's wisdom here. Words can heal, but they can also wound. The guidance is to approach communication with honesty, but also with compassion. Imagine planting seeds. The words you choose are either seeds of growth or weeds that choke out harmony. Be deliberate. If there's someone in your life who needs to hear the truth, choose this week to deliver it with respect. If there's an idea you've been circling in your mind, speak it aloud. Write it down. Share it in a way that brings it into reality. Mercury's lesson is that silence may feel safe, but truth brings freedom. This alignment gives you the chance to step out of confusion and into clarity, both in your relationships and in your inner dialogue. The seventh event is different. It softens the edges left by Saturn's order and Mercury's words. On September 14th, the moon aligns with Venus and suddenly the focus shifts to the heart. Where the earlier days of the week may have felt heavy with responsibility and decision-making, this alignment opens the door to harmony. Venus is not about perfection. It is about connection, beauty, and joy. This doesn't always mean romance, though it can certainly bring a spark into love. More often, Venus asks you to look around and recognize where your life already holds sweetness that you may have been too busy to notice. Think of it like walking into a garden after a long day of work. At first you see only the weeds and the soil, but then you step back and notice the flowers blooming despite it all. Venus reminds you that growth is not only about pushing forward, but also about pausing to appreciate what already surrounds you. Practically, this could mean reaching out to a friend you've lost touch with, spending quality time with someone who matters, or creating small rituals of joy, cooking a favorite meal, listening to music that moves you, or simply allowing laughter back into spaces that have felt too heavy. Venus also highlights the choices we make in love and connection. Are you investing your energy in relationships that nourish you or in ones that drain you? The guidance here is to choose alignment over habit. Sometimes the hardest truth is realizing that not every bond is meant to last forever, but equally some bonds strengthen when they are given attention. Venus aligned with the moon reminds us that we are shaped not only by our actions, but also by the people and energies we allow close. The week asks you to be deliberate. Who do you want to walk beside you in the months ahead? Which connections deserve more of your attention? And which have already taught you their lesson? What makes these three events so impactful is how they weave together. Saturn brings order, Mercury brings truth, and Venus brings connection. Together they ask you to examine your life with honesty, clarity, and tenderness. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. This week isn't handing you easy answers. Instead, it's placing tools in your hands. With Saturn, you hold structure. With Mercury, you hold communication. With Venus, you hold harmony. How you use them will define the chapter that follows. The eighth event you will experience is not one that passes quietly. By September 15th, the moon reaches a point of alignment that magnifies expansion through Jupiter's influence. If Saturn demanded order, Mercury pushed for truth, and Venus softened with harmony, Jupiter arrives with something different, an invitation to dream larger than you have allowed yourself to. This is not the dreamy kind of vision that drifts away with time. This is a surge of possibility that asks whether you are willing to step into growth even if it means leaving the safety of what you already know. Jupiter's touch does not whisper. It magnifies whatever you have been thinking about. It grows bigger. If you've been doubting yourself, those doubts seem louder. If you've been nurturing a vision quietly in the background, this is the week it feels impossible to ignore. Think of it as a magnifying glass held over your path. The cracks will show, but so will the opportunities. You may find yourself inspired to take a leap, whether in your career, your studies, or in the way you invest your time and energy. The guidance here is to recognize that expansion always comes with risk, but also with reward. Growth is not about reckless leaps. It is about trusting that your steps forward matter. If you've been waiting for a sign to stop playing small, Jupiter's alignment is it. What makes this event so powerful is how it arrives after the others. Saturn taught responsibility. Mercury brought truth. Venus offered connection. Now Jupiter pushes you to ask, what will you do with all of this? Imagine a garden. Saturn prepared the soil. Mercury planted the seeds. Venus nurtured the space with warmth. And Jupiter is the sunlight that makes everything grow faster than you expected. It is exciting, but it can also be overwhelming. The guidance is not to chase everything at once, but to choose carefully where you want expansion. Too many seeds at once scatter your energy. Focus on what feels alive, what excites you, what calls to your deeper self. Between September 16th and 17th, this energy continues to unfold. And here lies the practical wisdom. With growth comes responsibility. It's easy to talk about wanting more, but receiving more requires preparation. If abundance entered your life tomorrow, would you be ready to handle it? If the opportunity you've been waiting for finally appeared, would you recognize it and step into it with confidence? Jupiter's alignment does not guarantee results. It opens doors. The choice to walk through them is yours. This is why the week is so critical. It doesn't hand you answers on a silver plate. It tests whether you are prepared to trust the path opening in front of you. Now let's step back and reflect on the bigger picture. Each event this week has not been random. They have unfolded like chapters in a story, each one building on the last. The second week of September has layered lessons in discipline, truth, connection, and expansion. Together, they shape a crossroads, a moment where you must decide whether to continue moving through life distracted and unaware, or to step consciously into growth. The empowering advice here is simple yet challenging. Awareness without action is wasted. Saturn showed you where your foundation needed strength. The guidance is to actually set that structure, whether through routine, healthier boundaries, or focusing your energy on fewer but more meaningful commitments. Mercury revealed where words were left unsaid or truths left unacknowledged. The guidance is to speak and to listen with intent to bring clarity where confusion has lingered. Venus reminded you of the importance of joy and harmony. The guidance is to nurture the people, spaces, and experiences that replenish you. And Jupiter finally asked you to grow beyond your comfort zone. The guidance is to stop waiting for perfect timing and take the opportunities that present themselves now. Think of life as a river. Saturn is the stones that keep the water flowing in a direction. Mercury is the current carrying words and ideas forward. Venus is the cool reflection of beauty on the surface, reminding you why the journey matters. And Jupiter is the widening of the river itself, showing you how far it can stretch when it is not blocked. The river this week is fast-moving, but you are not powerless. You are the one steering the boat. This week also carries a reminder about balance. Growth without reflection becomes chaos. Structure without love becomes rigid. Truth without compassion becomes sharp. Connection without boundaries becomes heavy. Expansion without direction becomes overwhelming. Each of these energies is meant to balance the others, and your role is to weave them into your own life in a way that feels aligned. The empowering path is not to imitate someone else's choices, but to listen to your own. So as September 15th, 16th, and 17th close out this sequence, the message is that you are being prepared, not punished, not tested without reason, but guided to stand stronger, speak clearer, connect deeper, and grow wider than before. These events are not asking you to be someone else. They are asking you to become more of who you already are, the version of you that has been waiting beneath the noise of daily life. Carry this guidance forward. Progress is built in layers, not leaps. Do not dismiss the small steps you take this week. Each boundary set, each honest word spoken, each connection nurtured, each opportunity embraced. They add up. They shape the path you will walk long after this week ends. The moon's journey is only one rhythm in the vast symphony of your life. But when you listen and act with awareness, it changes everything. The days ahead carry a rare kind of weight, the type that does not pass quietly but gathers like a rising tide, asking you to step forward with courage. You have already walked through stages of reflection, truth, responsibility, and growth. But this moment stands apart because it is the crossroads where choice becomes destiny. When the moon joins its forces with greater planetary influences, it does not whisper. It amplifies the inner voice you have been pushing aside. That voice is not here to discourage you. It is here to remind you that transformation never happens from comfort. It is born from decisive steps taken when the path is uncertain. At this stage, the celestial rhythm is not simply marking time. It is magnifying direction. The moon's connection with Jupiter opens possibilities in a way that can feel both liberating and overwhelming. The expansion is real and it is personal. When growth begins to stretch, you are called to examine whether you are prepared to handle what is arriving. That is where the turning point lies. In choosing not to shrink from opportunity, but to meet it with strength. Every hesitation becomes a wall and every act of courage becomes a bridge. Think of this like standing on the edge of a horizon that is larger than anything you have known. On one side is the familiar terrain, the comfortable repetitions of daily life that keep you anchored. On the other side is an uncharted expanse where possibility waits. The moon's alignment does not push you to leap blindly. It illuminates the edge so you can see that the step forward is available. You must decide whether you will cross. This decision is less about external events and more about how deeply you trust yourself. For many, this point arrives with questions about purpose, direction, or even worth. But the truth is not found in asking whether you are enough. The truth comes in realizing that your path expands in proportion to the trust you place in your own capacity. When you commit to growth, the universe meets you halfway. The turning point is not about waiting for certainty. It is about choosing despite uncertainty. That choice shifts the story of your life more than any alignment in the sky. Imagine carrying a lantern into a darkened forest. At first, the light only shows the ground beneath your feet. You cannot see the full path, but every step you take reveals a little more. If you stop moving, the path remains hidden. If you move forward piece by piece, the forest opens. That is how this moment works. You are not meant to know every detail of where it leads, only to trust that light grows brighter the more you act with. The empowerment here is rooted in realization. Growth has already begun. You are not at the beginning. You are in the middle of a turning tide. The experiences of these days have stripped away distractions, revealed truths, demanded honesty, and highlighted what truly matters. That process was never random. It prepared you for this exact moment. Without the earlier lessons, the opening now would seem impossible. With them. Now pause and reflect. What is the one area of your life where expansion has been waiting? Is it in the work you do, the relationships you nurture, the personal goals you have hidden away, or the quiet vision you have carried in your mind but never spoken aloud? That area is where Jupiter magnifies, where the moon's presence amplifies, and where your choice now holds the power to change everything. Growth is not always dramatic. Sometimes it shows up as the willingness to speak truthfully in a relationship, to invest in learning something new, or to finally stop delaying the commitment you know will serve you. The grandeur of Jupiter is not in promising overnight miracles, but in showing you how small choices can lead to monumental transformation when combined with consistency and courage. The turning point is recognizing that those choices are yours to make not tomorrow, but now. Practical guidance flows from this realization. Start by grounding yourself in clarity. Write down what opportunity or vision keeps returning to your mind. Do not overcomplicate it. Choose one. Then ask, what is the first step I can take this week to move toward it? Not the final step, not the whole plan, but the first one. Growth is never about giant leaps. It is about consistent momentum. The moon's meeting with Jupiter does not hand you the full staircase. It lights the first step. That is enough because every step forward reveals the next. Another essential part of this alignment is trust. Too often we delay choices because we want proof that the outcome will be secure. Yet the universe never provides that guarantee. The proof only comes after you step forward. Jupiter's influence rewards trust. The more you act with faith in yourself, the more the path expands. Think of it as a door that only opens when you walk toward it. If you stand still, it remains closed. If you move, it opens wide. The empowerment lies in knowing you are not powerless. You carry the key, but you must be willing to use it. Relationships also carry weight at this turning point. Venus's earlier influence opened your awareness to connection, and now Jupiter expands it. This is a time when bonds may grow stronger, when conversations open possibilities for deeper understanding, or when new connections arise that lead to unexpected growth. The guidance here is to invest in relationships that mirror your expansion rather than restrict it. Surround yourself with people who encourage you to grow. not those who hold you to outdated versions of yourself. The turning point is not only personal, it is collective. The energy you share with others shapes the journey forward. It is important to remember that empowerment does not mean everything will be easy. Saturn's earlier lessons remind us that discipline and responsibility are part of growth. Jupiter brings opportunity, but without structure, expansion can scatter into chaos. This is why the week has unfolded in stages: discipline, truth, connection, and finally growth. The empowerment of this climax is in weaving them together. Take the order Saturn demanded, the clarity Mercury delivered, the harmony Venus encouraged, and apply them to the opportunities Jupiter now presents. Together, they form the foundation of transformation. The turning point is not about waiting for the world to change. It is about choosing to change your world. Every alignment points to the same truth. You are capable of more than you have allowed yourself to believe. The ceiling you thought existed was never real. It was built from fear, habit, or the opinions of others. Jupiter's influence tears that ceiling away, leaving an open sky. What you do with that sky is your choice. This is where hope rises, not as a soft comfort, but as a surge of possibility. Hope is not passive. It is active. It is choosing to believe in expansion even when circumstances try to convince you otherwise. It is choosing to step into the unknown not because it is easy, but because you know growth waits there. Empowerment is not about control. It is about trust in your ability to meet what comes. That trust is the foundation of transformation. As this climax unfolds, carry one truth with you. The moon's alignment with Jupiter is not simply a celestial event. It is a mirror of your own inner alignment. The moment when what has been hidden is revealed, magnified, and given the chance to grow beyond measure. You are standing in a moment that demands courage, but it also offers promise. Promise that your actions matter. Promise that your voice is stronger than your doubts. Promise that your path is ready to expand if you are willing to walk it. September 11th to 17th stands as a passage unlike others, a stretch of days carrying layers of meaning that reach far beyond ordinary time. Each alignment, each surge of influence has moved like a guidepost pointing toward growth and renewal. The moon's quiet authority in these moments has not been silent. It has been shaping, reminding, and drawing attention to the inner world that so often gets overlooked. Transformation is no longer an idea waiting in the distance. It is a living current moving through this week. Hope, strength, and clarity are no longer optional. They are essentials for navigating the season ahead. The spiritual pull of these days is a reminder that change is not meant to be feared, but embraced with both hands. Share your reflections in the comments. Let others know what stood out most during these powerful days, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. The next message carries its own revelations, and you will want to be